Good evening, students. Welcome to my YouTube channel. As usual, we will today start a new chapter. Your chapter is Improvement in Food Resources. This is a quite important chapter and interesting also. So this is the first topic and first session of this chapter. In this chapter, we will discuss why improvement of food resource is needed, and different type of food sources, different type of crops, their classification, all those things that you should learn. The topic will be discussed, so stay tuned with my channel. So let's start. Now first, before beginning this chapter, let us talk about food. What is food actually? Since this chapter is basically based on food resources and food cultivation, different type of crops, so at first we should know that what is food. What do you mean by food? Now see, food is actually an organic substance. Food is actually an essential organic substance that is required by our body for the smooth functioning and for the growth, proper growth of living organism. That is the main basic concept of food. It is an essential organic substance required for the growth and proper functioning of our body or of any living organisms. Clear? So it is food. It is an essential organic substance. It is an essential organic substance required for the growth and proper functioning of all the living organisms. This is the basic definition of food. It is an essential organic substance required for the growth and proper functioning of all the living organisms. Clear? So food is also composed of many important elements. Food is also composed of many important elements. We call them as nutrients. The important elements are called as nutrients. So it has many important nutrients like carbohydrates, like proteins, fats, vitamins, and all those minerals that are required for the smooth functioning of our body. So they are called as nutrients. So they are carbohydrates. The nutrients can be carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals, proteins, and all those important combination. Clear? So these actually mainly required for the growth, for the proper development and proper functioning of our body. Clear? Now this is the concept of food and what does food composed of. Next, improvement in food resources. So the question arises that why this improvement is required, why we do need this improvement of food resources. The answer is to meet the growing population of our country, because India is a populous country. India is a populous country and its population is over 1 billion, approx over 1 billion. Clear? And still it is growing. So to feed this ever increasing population, we require more food in every year. So to meet this requirement, this huge requirement, the improvement in food resource is needed by us. That is the concept. So in one line, just write, to meet the growing population. To meet the growing population, we need to improve the food resources, because in every country this improvement is required, because in every country population is increased, but in case of India, in our country, it is a huge populous country. Clear? So and still it is growing day by day. So to meet this huge population, to meet the requirement of this huge population, we require to improve the food resource. Clear? And this requirement can be fulfilled by farming more land. This requirement can be fulfilled by farming on more land. But India is already intensely cultivated country. So we do not have to scope of increasing the area of land cultivation. It is therefore necessary to increase our production efficiency. because we do not have more land. Already the land area is intense and already it is cultivated. So we do not have a scope to increase the area of land under cultivation. So it is therefore it's required to increase our production efficiency so that we can improve the food resource. So to meet this requirement, Government of India has taken two concepts, two revolution. One is green revolution and one is white revolution. So two revolutions, two measures have been taken by the Government of India. Number one is your green revolution and number two is your white revolution, to meet this growing population or to increase our production efficiency. So two major concept, two major initiative taken by Government of India. One is your green revolution and another one is white revolution. Green revolution and white revolution. Now what is green revolution? Green revolution is mainly based on to increase the food grain production, so it is related to increase the food grain production, and second, white revolution is to better availability of milk. That means milk should be available better or increase in quantity of milk. So it is related to availability of milk. White revolution is related to availability of milk. So two initiatives, green revolution and white revolution, have been taken by our government to increase the production efficiency or to meet the growing population of our country. Clear? So this is why improvement of food resource is required. We need to improve our food resource. Clear? To meet the growing population of our country. So that's it. Next types of crops. Next point is types of crops. Since our cultivation area is fixed, we do not have a scope to increase the area under cultivation. So it is therefore necessary to increase the production efficiency. That means we should cultivate crops. Now crops are cultivated by us for our own benefit. So there are important types of crops. So that will be required in the next part. So crops are the various types of crops. Now crops are cultivated by us, and the important types of crops are as follows. First one, cereal crops. Second one is pulses. Type is pulses. Third one is oilless crops. Oilseed crops. Next one is vegetable, spices and fruits. All those vegetable, spices or fruits, these are categorized under one section. And lastly, that is fodder crops. So there are important types of crops. One is cereal crops, next one pulses, next one oilseed crops, next vegetables, spices and fruits, and next are fodder crops. Now coming to cereal crops, these plants are cultivated to provide daily energy requirements, because for the smooth function of our body, for the proper development of our body, we need energy. And these plants, the cereal crops, these plants are cultivated to provide daily energy requirements. For example, examples are like wheat, like rice, like maize, like millets, these. Clear? So these are plants are cultivated, cereal crops. These plants are cultivated to provide daily energy requirements. These are cultivated to provide daily energy requirements. they are cultivated to provide daily energy requirements. Next one, pulses. These plants are cultivated to fulfill our protein requirements, because pulses gives us proteins, or proteins we can have protein from pulses. So pulses, they are cultivated to fulfill our protein requirement. They fulfill our protein requirements. They fulfill our protein requirements. Examples of pulses. Examples of pulses like gram, pea, black gram, green gram, lentil. These are the examples of pulses. Next, oil seed crops. Oil seed crops, they provide, so the name is oil, oil seed crops. That means they provide fats and oils. These plants are cultivated, they provide fats and oils. So they provide fats and oils. Oil seed crops. Examples are like soybean, groundnut, mustard, sunflower, etc. They are oil seed crops: soybean, groundnut, mustard and sunflower. Next, coming to vegetables, spices and fruits. These plants fulfill our requirement of vitamins and minerals, and a small quantity of proteins, carbohydrates and fats also. So vegetables, spices and fruits, they are cultivated because they fulfill our requirement of vitamins and minerals, mainly vitamins and minerals, and small quantities of proteins, carbohydrates and fats also. So they fulfill the requirement of mainly vitamins and minerals, and small quantity of carbohydrate, protein and fats. So this is vegetables, spices and fruits. Examples, varieties of examples are there. Vegetables, spices and fruits like cabbage, onion, pepper, they are the examples. Apple, orange, they are the examples of vegetables, spices and fruits. So cabbage, pepper, onion, apple, orange, etc. They are the examples of vegetables, spices and fruits. So cabbage, onion comes under vegetables, pepper comes under spices, and apple, orange, etc., guava, etc. comes under fruits. Clear? Next, fodder crops. Last, that is fodder crops. So these plants are mainly raised as food for the livestock, because they have been used, or they have been produced for the livestock. So these plants are raised as food for the livestock. These plants are raised as food. These plants are raised as food for the livestock. Examples of fodder crops are, suppose oats, beer seam, etc. The example of fodder crops, mainly oats. Just write one example: oats. One example. Fodder crops, example: oats. Clear? So these are the types of crops. Now each crop, all these crops, each crop requires different climatic condition. Each crop requires different climatic conditions, temperature, photoperiods for their growth and completion. All these crops are not require same temperature. Each of these crops has required different temperature, different climatic condition, different photoperiods for their growth and completion of the life cycle. So thinking of that point, growth of plants and flowering depend mainly on sunlight. Growth of plants, you can say growth of crops also, they require that they depend on different amount of sunlight, or they depend on duration of sunlight, because we know that plants also need sunlight to perform their photosynthesis, which is termed as photoperiods. So all these crops require different climatic condition. Therefore they are also classified, these crops are also classified on the basis of season, because they require different climatic condition, different temperature. So they are also classified as different season, or as per the basis of seasons. So these are mainly, these crops are mainly classified, mainly cultivated by human beings for our own benefit or for their own benefit, but these crops can also be classified on the basis of season. So next we will discuss that classification. On the basis of seasonal change or on the basis of season, crops also can be classified into two types. One is kharif crops and one is rabi crops. So on the basis of season, on the basis of season, on the basis of season, crops can also be classified into two types. One is kharif crops and one is rabi crops or rabi crops. Now kharif crops, these kharif crops, these crops are grown in hot and rainy season, in the month of June or June to October. June to October, that means in hot and rainy season, from the month of June and October. For example, like paddy, like maize, green gram, groundnut, etc. are the example of these kharif crops. So they are mainly grown in hot and rainy season from the month of June to October in a year. So kharif crops, these crops are grown in hot and rainy season, in hot and rainy season from the month of June to October. From the month of June to October, in hot and rainy season, these crops are grown in kharif crops. Examples are like paddy, maize, cotton, soybean, groundnut, etc. are the examples of kharif crops. Coming to rabi crops, these crops are grown in dry and winter season. Rabi crops are grown in dry and winter season from November month to April in a year. So these crops are grown, in dry and winter season from the month of November to April. That means in winter and dry and winter season from November to April. Examples of rabi crops are wheat, pea, for example barley, etc. They are rabi crops. Wheat, pea, barley, or mustard, they are rabi crops. Clear? So these are classification Kharif crops and Rabi crops based on seasonal change or on the basis of season. So types of crops, Rabi crops and Kharif crops. Next. Next, improvement in crop yield. How we can improve the production of crop? There is improvement or in crop yield. Improvement in crop yield. Improvement in crop yield. See, the practice involved in farming to increase crop production can be divided into 3 stages, because we need to improve the crop yield. So the practice involved in this farming or in this process to increase the crop production or to improve the crop yield can be divided into 3 stages. The first stage is seeds for planting, that is the first stage. The second stage is to be nurturing the crop plant, that is you have planted seeds, so there should be a crop plants and we should nurture the crop plants. So second step should be nurturing the crop plants, and the last stage, the third stage is protection of this growing and harvested crops. That is the third stage. So improvement in crop yield, in a short we can say that improvement in crop yield can be divided into 3 stages. First stage, second stage and third stage. That is the first stage, that is the second stage, and that is the third stage. So first stage is seeds for planting. We should find seeds for planting. That is the first stage. Second stage is nurturing the crop plants. Nurturing of the crop plants. And the last stage is protection of the growing and harvested crops. Protection of the growing and harvested crops. So 3 stages are there: seeds for planting, nurturing of the crop plants, and third stage is protection of the growing and harvested crops. Protection, this is P. Protection of the growing and harvested crops. Now majority of activities or major group of activities for crop yields can be classified into these 3 process or 3 stages. Clear? Majority of group activities for crop yield are composed or are based on these 3 stages, that is the first stage, second stage and third stage. But major group of activities or for crop yield can be classified as 3 important management or 3 important improvement. See, these are the steps. There is the first step, second step and third step are mainly involved in farming to increase the crop production or increase the improvement in crop yield. But majority of groups activities for crop yields can be classified. They can be classified, that means these 3 steps, combination of these 3 steps can be classified into 3 another improvement or 3 another management. So that management, that is number one management will be crop variety improvement. How you can improve the crop variety? Number 1 is crop variety improvement. Second stage is crop production management. Crop production management. And the last stage, third stage, is crop production management. Crop protection management. Crop protection management. The crop thus produced, how can you protect those crops from insects and bees? So all those there comes under crop protection management. So mainly majority of groups activities for crop yields, they are classified into these 3 stages, and these 3 steps are mainly to improve in crop yield, how you can improve the crop yield. Now we will discuss these 3 stages one by one. So first one is crop variety improvement. How you can improve your crop variety? The main aim of this step, there is crop variety improvement. The main aim of this practice is to find a variety of crop. The main stage or main motto or main aim of this step or this stage is to find out a variety of crop which can withstand or which can bear the different situations like high soil salinity, different climatic condition, different temperature, different water availability. So all those different situation they can bear. So we have to find such variety of crops. That is the main motto or main aim of this step. That is crop variety improvement. Now, in order to accept the new varieties of crops, it is necessary that the variety should produce high yield. That variety should produce high yield under different conditions, because we need to meet our growing population. So the variety of crop that should produce high yield, because we need to meet our demand, because population is so high, so we need to meet those requirement. So those variety should produce high yield under different climatic condition. Because of this, or to meet this demand, farmers should be provided with good quality of seeds. They should be provided with good quality of seeds of that particular variety. The seeds should be of the same variety and germinate under the same condition. So in a short, if we say that crop variety improvement is mainly to find variety of crops which can withstand or which can bear different climatic condition, different high soil salinity in diverse climatic condition, and the production of crop should be produce high yields under different condition, because to meet our growing demand. That is the main objective of this stage, that is crop variety improvement. Now second question comes that how we can improve this crop variety. What are the ways that we can improve this crop variety? So second topic should be way for improvement in crop variety. Way for improvement in crop variety. That is how we can improve this crop variety. Now there are mainly two ways. That we can achieve for improvement in crop variety. Two ways. Number one way is hybridization, and number two way is genetically modified crops. So the first way is hybridization. That is the first way, and the second way is genetically modified crops. Genetically modified crops. That is the two way to improve the crop variety. So what is hybridization? What is this hybridization? It is the crossing between genetically dissimilar plants. This is nothing but this is the crossing of genetically dissimilar plants to produce a new type, that is known as hybrid. That's why the process is hybridization. Clear? This is a high yielding variety crops. This is actually the process of high yielding variety. That means with this process we can have or we can achieve a variety that will produce a high yield. So it is the hybridization, it is the crossing. It is a process, it is the crossing of two it is the crossing between two genetically dissimilar plants. It is the crossing between two genetically dissimilar plants to produce a new type. Clear? This new type is called as hybrid, or it is also known as HYV, that is high yielding variety. So it is the crossing between to genetically dissimilar plants to produce a new type that is known as hybrid or HYV, that is high yielding variety. Now this hybridization is under the 3 type. This hybridization comes under the 3 type or 3 step. Number 1 step is intervarietal, number 2 will be interspecific, and number 3 will be intergenetic. So first one, that will be intervarietal. That is the first, intervarietal. Second, there is the first. Second will be interspecific. And number 3, that is the third, will be intergeneric. Intergenic, or you can say as intergeneric. Intergeneric. First one will be intervarietal, second one will be interspecific, and third one will be intergeneric. Clear? Now talking about intervarietal, it is the cross. It is actually these 3 comes under hybridization. So these 3 are actually the crossing between 2 genetically dissimilar plants, but the process is somewhat different. Now coming to intervarietal, this is the cross made between 2 plants belonging to different variety of crops. Listen carefully. This intervarietal is the cross is made between two plants, but belonging to different variety of crops. So this will be in between different. This is the cross between different variety of crops. Intervarietal is the cross made between 2 plants belonging to different variety of crops. It is the most common method used in plant breeding. This process, that is intervarietal, it is the most common method. In plant breeding, this intervarietal method. Second one, interspecific. This cross is made between 2 plants belonging to different species of same genus. It is different species of same genus, that is interspecific, and intervarietal is different variety. Third one, that is intergeneric. Intergeneric is belonging to different generation or different genera. That means it is a cross made between plants belonging to different generation or different genera. There is intergeneric. Different genera or generation, that is intergeneric. So these 3 actually composed of hybridization. Clear? These 3 actually are the crossing, but the type is somewhat different. So this is the first way, hybridization, that is to improvement in crop variety. Second one is genetically modified crops. Now genetically modified crops, it involves the manipulation of crop plant for increasing their yield, improving their quality, their sustainability, etc. So it mainly involves manipulation of crop plant. Manipulation of crop plants for increasing the yield, improving the quality, improving the sustainability. That is the genetically modified crop. So these are the 2 ways we can improve, we can achieve, or we can have to improve our crop variety. One is hybridization, and second one is the genetically modified crops. Next, what are the factors for this crop variety improvement? What are the factors for this crop variety improvement? Factors of crop variety improvement. What are the factors for this crop variety improvement? See, there are numerous factors for this crop variety improvement, but some of the factors which are mainly required, we will discuss those factors. So first factor is higher yield. Now higher yield, it is variety of improvement. Higher yield variety improvement is done to increase the productivity of crop. Higher yield, this factor is mainly for the productivity of crop, to increase the productivity of crop. This factor is responsible for the productivity of crop, to increase the productivity of crop per acre. That is the higher yield variety improvement. Second one factor is improved quality. Improved quality. Now see, what does this quality mean? What is this quality? The definition of quality is different for different crop. The definition for quality is not same for for the different crops, but it is actually the quality is the definition is different for different crops. For example, suppose baking quality is very important in wheat, protein quality is important in pulses, oil quality is important in oil seeds, preserving quality is important in fruits, vegetables, such that. So to improve quality is the second factor. How you can improve quality, that is the main factor for this crop variety improvement, and this quality is different for different crops. Clear? So that is the second factor. Number three factor is biotic and abiotic resistance. Biotic and abiotic resistance. That is the third important factor. Now biotic means mainly disease, insect, etc. That comes under biotic. And abiotic means drought, waterlogging problem, heat, cold, dry problem, water salinity problem. That comes under abiotic stress or abiotic resistance. So this biotic and abiotic, these actually mainly have a different improvement in this crop production or crop variety. These conditions are always are the main factors, always remains as the main factors for this crop variety improvement, because the drought in salinity condition, in waterlogging condition, or if, attack of insects, that comes under biotic stress, or diseases, that always remain as factors for this crop variety improvement. So you have to improve, or you have to modify this biotic and abiotic resistance to have better crop variety or better crop yield. So this is the third factor. Fourth factor is wider adaptability. Wider adaptability. Now developing varieties that can grow and adapt to different conditions. Developing varieties that we have developed, developing varieties that can grow and adapt to different conditions also help to stabilizing crop production. Thus the single variety can be grown in different region with different climatic condition. That is the wider adaptability. That means with the single variety we can have in different region and with different climatic condition. They can adapt to different climatic condition. So these are the wider adaptability. So these are the factors of crop variety improvement. Number 1 is higher yield, number 2 improved quality, number 3 biotic and abiotic resistance, and number 4 is wider adaptability. Clear? So first major activity, that is crop variety improvement, is complete. Clear? In the next session we will discuss the second classification, that is crop production management, and then crop protection management. Clear? So with this session is complete. In the next session we will discuss some more important and interesting aspect of this chapter. Clear? Thank you.